And Greater Oxford, hello again. Welcome back to episode number 5 of the Running Commode, a 15-minute monthly show designed to help you with tips and tricks in the running of your home. My co-host, Eric Hodge.
Hello, Mark.
Hello there, how are you?
Good.
I'm Mark Raymond, your friendly neighborhood property manager. A little chilly this morning.
It definitely changed pretty quick, and it was very
I wasn't
chilly.
expecting to put this on this morning.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've been enjoying your Facebook reels. In particular, the one that you had recently about the cupboard door into the light fixture.
You know, it was done beautifully. The cabinets were great, the fixtures were great, but it's just the spatial awareness I don't think was quite thought out.
And it was a DIY kind of a thing.
Definitely a DIY. A professional contractor would have that knowledge and be like, hey, let's not have the cabinet door open into a light fixture.
Well, lucky us, we have a contractor in our midst today, and he is a Finnish carpenter. He is an excellent carpenter. He's worked on my own personal house. So let's not waste any time and bring Brian Morang with Advanced Carpentry up. Brian, thanks so much for coming out today.
Thanks for coming, man. I appreciate it, Brian.
Appreciate you being here.
I appreciate the opportunity to be on the show.
Let's go ahead and get right into this. So I mentioned Finnish carpentry. Can you explain really quick to the audience the distinction between rough and finish?
So rough carpentry would be the guys that actually put your house together. You know, they're out there banging and throwing plywood up. And while we've done that and our crews have done that, we kind of specialize on more of the finished edge of that, which would be your tile, your cabinets, your trim, coffered ceilings, that type of thing, deck work. And
The final product of what people see.
yeah, the pretty stuff.
The pretty stuff.
So while I like lifting up walls and all that, we kind of specialize in more of the finished stuff.
Well, there's an art to that too, though. I mean, rough carpentry, yes, there's an understanding of measurements and putting things together and functionality and how it's going to go. I mean, the trim stuff tends to take a little longer because it is finished and you're moving a little slower because of how you have to install everything, right?
Yep, I got a little more precise than quarter inch is good,
Right.
So
Now, how long have you been at this?
I have been at this since the 80s. So not to date myself, but I got a couple years in on doing this. So
Any special training? Any?
I did go. I do have a degree in architecture, so I like to incorporate the design, whether it's interior, exterior, and all that. And I like to see the overall picture from the client standpoint too, and kind of incorporate what you might want. You want Soji screen doors. We might try to incorporate that and kind of see the overall vision, and then drive the project accordingly. So.
Really quick for the benefit of our listening audience. Shoji doors are those panels that you see in a Japanese architecture where you have the crosshatch pattern and they slide. So Brian did those for me in my personal home, and I'm really, really thrilled with those. So
I saw those. Those came out amazing.
Yeah, it was kind of neat, and backlight them, and little
bonus,
little Zen garden going.
Yeah. So. Anyway, so an architect, you have to kind of your work, especially when it's structural, you have to good that for the life of the structure, don't you?
Yep.
Yeah, you take a big responsibility with that.
Yeah. It's we always want it to last, and I think something too is for it to be timeless. Like a lot of people in vogue. I want white cabinets and black countertops, or black cabinets, and a lot of times kind of blending that together so it's not going to be just a statement of the time. A Miami Vice house looks like a Miami Vice house, right? So and you can see the different things. A 50s ranch, and then you get into your contemporary. But I guess the neat thing is that we try to blend whatever your tastes are. You want that sleek look. Well, we can make that happen. So.
Miami Vice.
I know. And it's funny you say it because I instantly knew exactly what you're talking about.
Well, we switched a Miami Vice house into a country craftsman house. So it's an architect friend of mine that we've been working on in White Lake through the years, and it's been a transformation because the house is awesome. It's on White Lake. It overlooks the lake, and it's just spectacular. Wow. And then to take that and change it from the white tube rails and that type of thing into something that's actually kind of really cool and unique. Yeah. It's been fun. So
in all the hundreds of thousands of projects you've done, what's your favorite genre of project?
Ooh, that's a good question. I enjoy all of them. They're all my children. So
Another TV show reference.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, they all they're all an extension of me or my, our work, and and again, I try to make it or gear it towards the individual client so that they're.
Well, then we're just going to start. By the way, thank you for preparing a list of questions here. We'll just start at the top here and talk a little bit about decking.
Yeah.
So, is anyone still using wood for decking?
Yeah, actually, so wood, we're still using the wood for the understructure and all that. Even in some higher end homes, some in Bloomfield and, the $1 million houses or, somewhere near there, we sometimes will do a treated decking fascia, and then do a metal rail. Usually these are people that really still like wood. So if you like wood, you're not going to get a synthetic that looks like wood. It's just, they're not out there, not in the decking world. But if you like the simplicity of the synthetic materials and the maintenance-free attributes of it, they're wonderful. But you're not going to get the same look of real wood out of,
Well, and I know, so there's different types of synthetic decking, like material-wise. I forget, we were, family trip, we were up in Frankenmuth, and they had a section where it was a synthetic. But the sun was beating on that particular area, and it was just sinking in between the joists. So there's got to be different, I'm assuming, levels of synthetic?
Yeah. So there's two basic levels. There's a PVC and then a composite. Composite is a combination of wood fiber and plastic resin, where a PVC, this comes out of the plumbing industry, so it's a foam core with a PVC cap. Same way a Schedule 40 pipe is, that same technology. Advantages, disadvantages to that is, one is 100% non-organic, so your PVCs are 100% non-organic, so it can't promote mold growth or anything like that. Anything with wood in it does have, the tendency of having, you can have a source of mold or food for mold.
Well, very interesting. We're going to continue with Brian Morang right after the break, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the decking and how to integrate that into your landscape, and then we're going to move into some other areas of his expertise.
Welcome back to the Running Commode with myself, Eric Hodge, and again, Mark Raymond here. And we're talking with Brian Morang at Advanced Carpentry. And you'd put an interesting part in here with these questions, Brian, is how do I integrate my deck into the landscape? Which I sometimes think maybe that's not even thought about, and that's why they need to come to a pro to help make the whole thing come together. So how do you do that?
We work together with a couple different landscape companies to kind of integrate the decking into the thing. So it just doesn't look like the cookie cutter deck that was put onto the back of the deck in the middle of the subdivision.
Yeah.
So we try to incorporate, some landscape. And so right now we have one in Rochester. We redid all these timber walls, and we're putting, vermin screening in, and we're doing an upper and a lower level deck and glass and all that. But then we're also sensitive to the trees and the thing. So we left this one giant tree in the middle. It's a great shade tree, which I got to admit, when it's 90 degrees, kind of nice. But and then other times it's just you can step up your landscape beds and with vegetations and different things to kind of make it look a little bit more planned.
So is that something when someone says, hey, I want a deck, and you bring up the idea of, hey, let's talk, a landscape professional will come in as well too to help incorporate, to make everything more cohesive versus just tearing everything down and putting a deck and then you got all this dead stuff all around. Like, is that something you bring to the client?
Yeah, it kind of depends on the situation. Sometimes, they already, so we did one last year and they already had, kind of plans with a landscaper. So as we were planning out the deck portion, we got together with the landscaper and we kind of worked together as a team,
great,
and kind of get that package deal. Other people like the gentleman and or the couple in Rochester, they want me to handle everything. So you just handle everything, and we'll just run it. We can schedule it. We can and of course their input is always important. But
teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah, when you have your second story decks, I'm sure you've seen many of those. I'm sure you've built many of those. But what's the highest and best use of that area? Because it's shady, you can't really put landscape under there. What's the highest and best use for that space?
A lot of times what we'll do is we'll do a dry space or an under deck drainage system underneath there. Some of them are kind of sleek and they just kind of look like vinyl cladding. You know,
Yeah, I just saw that at a house actually. It was really cool.
yeah. So you can do that, and that can actually be your drainage, or else we put a physical membrane in there, which is more usually a rubber or some type of a vinyl product or whatever that goes between the joist space, and then we can put up. We did tongue and groove cedar and ceiling fans and lights.
So you like finish the space out?
Yep.
Wow.
And then from there you can take that area and screen it in, because you always get a lot of bugs and spiders and weird things underneath there. So you can do a screening wall around that, and really now you have your up high deck sunny space, and then underneath you have this nice shady screened in area.
Pest-free area,
yeah.
hopefully.
But you're not limited to just decks. I mean, you do cabanas and
Pool houses, right?
Yep, pool houses, cooking cabanas. Yeah, there's if you can think it, we could probably do it. So
Yeah.
that's but yeah, we've done a number of pool houses, changing rooms and for the pool gear and all that type of stuff. And then cooking cabana, we had a doctor, and every night he works long hours, but every night he wants to come home and they cook something outdoors when it's decent. So, and he wants to be able to do that in the rain and even into the fall months and all that. So we create a whole area for him to do exactly that, and bar stools, and they can just kind of hang by the pool.
Cool.
And
So you're putting that much thought into an outdoor space that gets used, here in Michigan, maybe a couple months out of the year. But moving inside, like you do everything inside too, kitchens, baths, all that stuff, and that's year-round usage. And probably a lot more goes into that. So like with kitchens, I mean, is there a way to, people that's like one of the biggest upgrades. How do you make that function better? Like when you're working with a old 50s ranch or something like that, how do you change it to be more functionality?
A lot of your older houses, we're basically taking out walls because it was very segmented. The 50s ranches. Here's your kitchen. Here's your dining room. Here's your living room. So now we're just opening up that whole space to use it more like it was. It used to be everybody would go to the fireplace and sit around the fireplace, and that was the big. Now it's the kitchen. I mean, now it's you're all around food, and same within the kitchen. It used to be like a working triangle, they would say. Now it's almost kind of turned into a square. So you need a prep area to add to your sink, your stove, your fridge, and kind of how does that circulation work?
Well, and then because doing that, you're taking out walls. Well, usually a lot of that times that involves now you're changing the structure of the home. Being that you are also part of the architectural process, do you still have to bring structural engineers in for if you're changing beams out, or is that something you're able to handle or streamline the process just because of the extra knowledge that you have of the architectural world?
Yeah. So sometimes I can big brain it and kind of put it together, and other times I need to prove that. So if we need to prove that, or if I get nervous at all, then we bring in a structural engineer, and they do their calculations, and we just kind of, and I actually always enjoy that because I was thinking this, and then see what they come up with or whatever. So it's kind of a learning process too. So I was like, oh, I wasn't too far off, or oh, I really blew that, but having the experience and having the background in architecture and knowing how things go together. It used to bother me at architecture school. These people would come up with this stuff, and I'm like, how's it going to stand up? And that's a whole the dreamy side, and I'm a little more realist.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
And the second most important upgrade, bathrooms, right? So give us some insights on that, maybe some pet peeves.
So the bathrooms, what we're seeing is in the 90s, they had those big garden tubs. So you'd have those big soaking tubs, and half your bathroom was this big tub deck, and it really chopped up. So I just left one this morning where we're putting a toilet into the wall. So we're putting a in the wall toilet. We're doing a nice soaking tub, but a vessel type soaking tub, and now their shower is going to be twice the size, and they can get their body jets and bench and all that type of stuff. It's really kind of transforming the old bathrooms, and sometimes there's not much we can do. It's a 5 by 6 foot bathroom or
Yeah.
8 foot. You're not going to be able to do a whole lot. Other times we can incorporate or take from the closet or some of the other.
Well, thank you very much, Brian Morang of Advanced Carpentry, for being here. It was a
Thank you,
great,
guys.
Yeah.
great insights, and he does a lot more. I mean, there's theater
So
rooms.
much we didn't even touch on.
Oh yeah, there's so
We
much.
could have
that-
went on for a long
just
time.
Reach out. We'll have his phone number on. It was probably at the break, and you can also get it through the studio. Coming up in October, we're going to have Jason Carter with Carter Custom Flooring. So he'll be sharing with us what he does with floors as you're walking around admiring Brian's handiwork. Stay tuned for that. We'll see you soon.